The current situation of the crypto market is fear. And not just normal fear, it's extreme fear. So, what you have to think here is last month, last week, and as of now, you are in extreme fear. So, are you still there or are you slowly moving out? So, the way you can look at this is zoomed in view how that's moving and slowly move out. Because as you move out, you start to get more of the big picture scenario to understand where you are. So you can go all the way back to see where we bottomed. So here it's like 14. So say the average here is close to 30 or 35. Now in this case here, it's extreme. Here it's like 12, but you can say the average of this bottoms is close to 20. Now, why is that interesting? Because right now, when you are at 20, you're already at that average of the bottom, which means you have maximum fear. Imagine in the market when you are at the maximum fear, is it a time to buy or sell? You have to make that decision yourself because we see things like this happening right now in the market. This is just 24 hours before. And I'm like, okay, that does make sense. These are like big institutions who are heavy kind of on XRP. So I'm like, okay, they are someone who do understand how the space evolves, or they have research teams who does that clearly. So when you observe all these panic happening in the market, people moving out, running crazy, you do have to understand what's happening on the other side. Most of us who are looking at the dollar connected with the crypto value, yeah, dollar is slowly trying to bounce back. It did not yet retest these breakout region. So it's going to come. And say this is a little bit of kind of, side of a joke, but this is also true. Why is that? Because not everyone understand the space properly. They only look at their traditional area and they are ready to even bet again on guys like Sam. So we need to actually think how it is. But that's a different story. This is important. Bill Ackman has made his name as an activist investor. Say, okay, I won't go into detail for that. That's like, okay, stock market, stock, you get the majority, you turn the company around, that kind of stuff. But here in crypto, look at the way he described it. He names a couple of projects and what they do, the use case and all. But the end of the day, what it is here is like real billionaires, institutions, and others are right now looking for crypto projects which has a future. Why is that? Because the majority, like Rob actually put the idea here clearly. Because when the market is down like this 80% and the mass media is selling you fear, that's usually close to the bottom, or they are trying to buy close to that bottom. That's how things usually work. If you go look at all the bottoms like in March 2020 or near that range, if you look at how the media was showing you things, that's really bad. Now, there are something which we have to talk through, which is kind of a little bit red flag, and there are things which we have to understand in this market, right? Which is current scenario, look at the past, how things played off. All of those comes back into one kind of thing. That goes back to SEC. And that's something which will be really important for XRP case, and we'll describe through that. But that's the fundamental side of it. When we actually observe the technical side, there are things for concerns, and some of things are a little bit positive. We're going to discuss through that so you get a better understanding about the market. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become top 10% of the world. This is another channel of ours. We started this recently. There's only like 3 videos. If you have 5 minutes, please do go and watch and inform what you think about these videos. It's interesting if you are looking for life, success, wealth, and your future. Great. Now jumping back onto this. Technical side of this does not actually show you a lot in red or red flag for XRP. But if you go back into the market and look for how things are evolving, some of them moving up, some of them moving down, but a lot of them have a lot of concerns breaking through big bang area, which it should have been bouncing from, but right now some of them are breaking it, which does not look good for that particular asset. But here for XRP, it does show you that we broke higher, we are coming back for a retest, right? And the breakout measured move is like close to 5x or above that. And we haven't done that yet, which means after the retest, you have room to the upside to go back. Now, this goes back to the theory which we are discussing. When the short-term moving average crossed the long-term moving average to the upside, price come back down. Here, that's the same scenario. And when we bounce, it follows the direction of the short-term moving average, which is the green line crossing to the upside, which is the 21 moving average moving up, which is a positive trend. Now you go look at the XRP USD pair and you're like, okay, this is slowing down, right? We thought we are going to break higher. We were at that level, but we are getting rejected back by the 200-day moving average, which is the yellow line here. Now, if we compare XRP with BTC and others, it does feel it is strong. But right now the price is dropping. What does that mean? BTC is even weaker. That's the reality. Fine. So if you are looking at this, yes, our support comes all the way back down to 0.33, 0.34 range. And I'm looking at the MACD here. MACD was about to cross to the upside, but right now the price is dropping. So when we go back to the real-time chart to actually see like, okay, we are going to follow MACD. We're going to drop lines, just vertical lines to see here just about that time when the MACD was crossing to the upside, what happened to the price. I think this is really interesting, and as I've checked through a lot of different assets after a big correction when it's actually going back up. Now, I'm not talking about a small breakout here. I'm talking about long-term correction and then across to the upside, right? Now we go back, look at all these in terms of price. Great, we get that idea. Fine. We slowly zoom out, we slowly take one by one. Say here, when the MACD was crossing to the upside, look at what the price was doing. This is, for me, really interesting to watch, and it kind of reinforces what we were talking about with the MACD and moving average with the price. Great. Now, look at this. By the time when everyone is anticipating that MACD is crossing higher, positive, that means the price should go up, you actually got a worse day. This is a daily chart, so it does show you the entire fluctuation for that day, which was negative. So you actually got like 6% down on that day, even though indicator was suggesting we are going to go up. Get that point? Great. Now zoom back out. We're going to go look at the next scenario where MACD crossed higher and how price evolved. Great. Now, this is the area which we are observing where the MACD crossed to the upside. Price was still trending to the downside. It broke the support level here after that, and it came all the way lower. Now, if we actually combine both of them with the RSI, it will be a bit more clear. Say right now here, when we look at that and say, okay, yes, MACD crossed higher, but the price did not go higher. It actually came to the downside. We were in a downtrend. Clearly, if you observe this, we were in a downtrend where we are moving to the downside. One is the trend. Two, at the same time, when the MACD is trying to cross to the upside, you don't see RSI making a new trend to the upside. That was something which was really interesting to watch, because when RSI does break out, it usually do the retest. That's when the price bounce. So if we actually connect this, oh yeah, that's true. Say when you look at this here, even in this scenario, when the RSI broke higher, price did not go higher. RSI retested, that's when the price bottomed, which is actually something really interesting to look right now, because here, this is our trend line. We have not broken that to the upside yet. We are still waiting for that breakout. That's fine on a daily. Now, you again go back to all these scenarios where the MACD was crossing to the upside on a downtrend. This is really important. On a downtrend, and you see it getting faked out. And all these crosses are happening near this bottom here. But Then you go into a start of a new trend where you are making higher high, higher low, and then again higher highs followed by that. So when you have the trend line going like this, and now put the same thing going here, when we are expecting the market to go up, here you get a corrective price action. The price drops. Now, if we actually take into consideration what was the drop in price, here that's 33%. That's really important to watch, because in a corrective channel, when you are corrective in the corrective direction, the drop was 6%. Now, when you're in a bullish mode, the correction is like 33%. Now, what happened after that? We know we went back up. Now, you can again zoom in, you can go revisit all of these scenarios when we are starting to trend higher and the MACD crossed to the upside. You immediately see the price drops because a lot of people are starting to buy into the market, which means, say for example, you have 10 oranges and people are trying to sell that. If you have demand on the other side, when people come to buy, say when there is 10 oranges, you really 10 and 10 sellers, you really don't have the bargaining power. Everyone else is selling at similar price. But as soon as it becomes 3, now you have bargaining power. You can say, okay, I won't sell it at $1. Now I'll sell it $1.5. I think there is a lot of people who want this and supply is low. Same thing. When the price is going down, it does not mean people are not buying it. It does mean people are buying it, but the supply is still there in the market. Great. In the same scenario, you go back through the history and you will see the price action repeating the same pattern over the time again and again. What does that mean? Most likely, we may come back to 0.33 and get a bounce, which is actually a bullish scenario. Now, that's on a daily chart. Now, the issue here is you'll have to look at the higher time frame chart and see what it shows you. And that's where it's a little bit concerning. You have not crossed back to the upside. Right now, what the MACD shows you is this. You cross to the downside, you're still moving in that direction, which makes this as your support 0.3. Now, it can be a zone of 0.31 towards 0.29. That is going to be that zone where the price will wick through. Now, again, you go back, zoom out, and look at a weekly chart. And now, as we talked all these times, that's a long-term scenario where you are entering. So either you can say we are going to break through this long-term support, which held last 2,000 days, or you can say like, okay, yes, the chances are the MACD shows it's going to cross to the downside. But remember what we just discussed about RSI and price action? When the RSI breaks higher, now this is positive and negative. Great. I think you guys have to actually get this absolutely clear. I'm not saying XRP is going to 0 or all the way down into a new trend. What I'm thinking here is there is going to be a possibility for you to buy most likely in this range as a wick lower. Mostly on a weekly to monthly chart, it may look like this. We have seen something like that before. We have seen something like that before, right? Every time you wick like that, the price action goes back up. Now, why is that? The RSI broke higher here, but the retest is just happening. And as we saw in previous scenarios, you put in a new low with that retest, and that's the best buying opportunity. Now, breakout is a good opportunity. If you bought here at 0.3, that's good. But if you're buying at 0.26, 0.27, that's also great. But that doesn't make your 0.3 bad when you are looking at your long-term target. Let it be $3, $8, $10, $20, whatever it is. Right now, you're close to a bottom. A lot of people do not actually think like this, but let me ask you one thing. If you consider, okay, the price of XRP is only going to last high, it's not going 10, 20 or whatever other people are saying. Fine. So right now when you are here, do you think we are close to a bottom or do you think we are close to a top? Meaning, is your downside small compared to your upside? That's all investing is about. So you need to make that logical decision that your risk tolerance is this and I believe this is an opportunity. Now it's up to you to decide for your portfolio, but taking a well-educated guess is much, much better than just randomly speculating at 10,000, 50,000 per coin. Now, if you have maybe 100 years, maybe that's going to price in. I'm not sure. But what we are looking at is reality. So if the RSI is bouncing after the retest, the MACD is breaking through in the long-term run, which most likely means you are going to see some price action. Look at the weekly. Now, this is really important. Look at the weekly moving average, 21 moving average. That's not going down. Now, this may take a little bit more time, but let me try to explain this. You go back, you look at when this is trending lower, when this is rounding back up and trying to go back. There is a scenario where the price come back down. There is a scenario where you get bearish. But at that time, you did not break the 200-day moving average. You still had a lot of room to the downside. Here, you're way below the 200-day moving average. The 200-day moving average is close to 0.5. Right now, you're at 0.35. So you are much lower from the 200-day moving average. And historically, when you are lower than the 200-day moving average, and that is important, your 21-day moving average is slowly starting to bounce back up, showing a new trend. That most likely is the start of a new trend. You need to observe if the price is putting in higher lows. For that, yes, you can literally go onto a 3-day chart. You can look at that. You can literally go onto a daily chart, right? So on a 3-day, you are starting to be bullish, but on a daily, you are looking for correction. This actually goes back in line with what we just talked about, a possibility of 0.3, 0.28 kind of wick. So if that happens and you are a buyer in the market, it's good. But if you're already here, packed your bag, that's like, okay, that's another month of waiting. That's possible. What if big buys come in here? We just saw a lot of massive buying happening in XRP in the last couple of days. If that happens and the supply dries by 0.28, 0.3 range, we may not go too far. We would bounce back from here. Why is that? If you look at the history here, 0.26 was the wick low for all these long time. It has acted as both support and resistance. So that's for XRP. Now, keeping the same idea in your mind, you can go visit different assets inside your portfolio. Let it be a long-term asset like Cardano, which is actually a fundamental asset. But right now, what you observe, even in that asset, is that even though it's a fundamental asset, it's breaking to the downside. Now, I don't know what's happening fundamentally, but it does not actually look good when you break this pattern to the downside. We just went through a lot of different assets in the Patreon because people wanted to actually know what macro scenario for a lot of different assets look like. And many coins are not looking good. I can say that. But few of them, this is really interesting, few of them are trying to bounce off from long-term support, and that's where you go back and watch all these billionaires and big institutions coming in and buying, and you're like, okay, why are they buying? Most likely, which coins are they buying? You'll get to know that after a quarter, fine. But right now, when you try to make sense of things, it does give you a clarity about, okay, most likely they're buying assets which are attracting investors at a long-term support. For me, that makes clear sense. But yes, the dollar has to slow down. Now, it's already slowing down. Just a retest is pending. That's what we want to see. Whether it's going to retest 108 or go down, or it's going to retest 110, we need to see how the market reacts. But the RSI can give us a clear hint. If the price is going towards 108 and the RSI is at resistance, which definitely means we may get rejected from here, which is going to be really great for the entire markets. Remember, when we were here, we were talking about something like this way back, right? Maybe early this year, maybe March, April, May, that time. So here, May. So when you are looking at this, that's history. We are trying to see like, okay, historically this happens. So we need to see how long it's going to take to put this price action. We topped out like 4,800. We were around 4,000 that time. We actually went down towards 3,500 something, but that's not a big correction in this market, right? Historically speaking, you have a long downside. But what we have to see is how governments are going to react. Are they going to put back in more money free money. Because if they do, that means we are not going like the history 50% down, because the way you're observing here is a rounded bottom. It can be an inverse head and shoulder or a rounded bottom with a cup and handle kind of stuff, which can consume some more time, but it can be slowly bottoming. We may not actually get another 50% drop from here. So don't expect that in the market. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have 5 more minutes, please do go and watch these videos here and inform if you like that, if there is room for, now there is a lot of room for improvement, but do give me your suggestions. That usually helps a lot. So that's it guys. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.